Hey, Chris here. When I started the journey of trying to find the perfect carry-on for me, I really had no idea what I was looking for. I was so used to just seeing the traditional rolling luggage that I had no idea what was even available. So what I quickly found out, and one of the first bags I purchased was the North Face Basecamp Duffel Extra Small. A bag I'd looked at for quite some time and just didn't pull the trigger on it for quite a while just because I was unsure how big of a bag it was. And even if it was going to be durable or whatever the case might have been for my needs at that point. So, bought the bag, absolutely loved it. So, in doing so, I came across the Patagonia Black Hole Duffel in 60 liters. And all the reviews I read just said, hey, this could be the perfect carry-on. 60-liter bag, plenty of space, just be sure not to overpack it. So very, very interested in taking a look at that bag, and I did purchase that bag, and that was actually the first video I ever put out on YouTube, so it's funny looking back. But what I thought that might be of interest in someone, whether you've looked for a while or whether this is the first time you're actually looking to buy a bag, is talk about some of the pros and cons of the duffel / travel backpack compared to the traditional carry-on top luggage, whether it be a spinner or just a two-wheeled version. So just wanted to hit some highlights and give you my thoughts and some ideas and tips on when each bag might be of, I guess, your best interest in whatever trip you might be wanting to take. So definitely want to get into this a little bit, look at some pros and cons of each type of bag, and then just give you my final thought. Two of the first bags I purchased, again, was the North Face Basecamp Duffel Extra Small and the Patagonia Black Hole Duffel 60 liters. So when should you use a bag like this, and when do I typically use a duffel bag or even a travel top backpack? Really, if I'm looking to be hands-free. So if I'm taking a shorter top trip, I like taking a smaller bag if at all possible. Again, I like the ability to throw this on my back and basically, again, not feel like I'm rolling something or always have to be aware of where my wheeled luggage is. So really for shorter trips, again, if I don't have heavy items, definitely duffel comes into play. Again, if I'm doing more of a one bag top travel, definitely a duffel bag will come into play. Again, 60 liters is huge. And typically what I say about a 60 liter bag is if you're going to use this as a carry-on bag, make sure not to overpack this just because you can pack so much in here. Sometimes you just forget how much, and by the time you're done, this thing is completely full, which could exceed some of those airline requirements of how big and how much that you can take onto a plane. But still absolutely love the bag just because of the sheer fact of how much it can hold. Duffels are typically going to be very, very basic. Sometimes they're going to have maybe end pockets or a side pocket, so very little organizational top pockets and abilities with these bags, but it will give you the ability just to throw a lot of items inside. So again, I like these for shorter trips. I like these if I want to be hands-free. If wherever I'm traveling to, easy access to public transportation where I'm not actually doing a lot of walking could come into play also. So if I can walk out of the airport, either get Uber or a bus or a train, and there's not a long walk, definitely don't mind doing that. And then to get to wherever I'm staying, again, not a long walk there too. One bag, duffel bag, even a travel backpack can come into play sometimes. Again, the other option being a travel backpack. One of the benefits to those are going to be usually they're going to give you a lot of additional pockets on there where you can really organize a lot of your items. And a lot of people like that. You know, you want to keep your shoes separate from your clothing. If you have dirty clothes, maybe there's a pocket you can put those into. If you have documentation or a battery or whatever, you want to keep those in some extra pockets, you do have the ability to do so. But again, that's what I like about duffels. Just the fact that, and even the extra small bag, I know I get a lot of questions about this, but I have used this as a personal item. So basically, I've put my items in here, usually for a shorter top trip, and I can put this underneath the seat in front of me. So that's going to open up the ability to use this on. I know a lot of the airlines now offer basic economy tickets where they don't give you access to the overhead bin. A lot of those ultra low cost carriers, again, unless you pay for a carry-on or even a check bag, they're only going to let you take a personal item. Again, that's where a small backpack or a duffel could really come into play also if you just don't want to spend the money or if it's a shorter trip, because believe it or not, you can actually pack quite a bit in these smaller duffels or even like a 30-liter backpack. Some of those could easily fit under the seat in front of you. So next we'll go ahead and move on to the wheeled luggage and hit some pros and cons of those bags. Now taking a look at just your typical carry-on type luggage. Again, when do I use these and when do I recommend using these? So some examples of when I typically use your roll-on or rolling luggage would be if I'm taking a longer trip where my items are going to be a little heavier. If I'm flying an airline that has no restrictions on a carry-on bag, if I do have the ability and it's going to be a 3 to 5 day trip, why not take a carry-on bag? Again, if you're in a situation where you can possibly buy souvenirs, you want the extra additional space, you can take your carry-on bag in addition to even a smaller top backpack, even a smaller duffel if you really want to maximize some of that space. So also if I'm traveling somewhere where there's a greater distance from where I'm going, as far as if I have to walk a longer way to get to public transportation, or if I'm taking public transportation and the drop-off I have to walk further. An example is earlier this year I took a trip to Boston. We flew in and I think took the Silver Line if I'm correct. It dropped you off kind of at a central location, and then we had a 10-minute walk after that. So usually in a situation like that, if it is going to be, again, 3 to 5 days, probably going to take a rolling bag just because I do have that longer walk. So sometimes you can get kind of fatigued with a backpack or a duffel bag. So again, that would be a situation where I'm going to take a wheeled bag. So another question is, you have your 2 wheels opposed to your 4 wheels. When is a good option of when to take these bags? Typically, again, if I'm going somewhere where I know I have to walk outside quite a bit, that's where the two wheels, in my opinion, come in handy. Especially wheels that I know a lot of Eagle Creek or Osprey or some of the other bags have, where they're oversized. To me, this is going to really withstand any kind of surface that you have to go over. So whether it's a rocky surface or a paved surface or cobblestones or really whatever, the 2 wheels on a bag like this, the oversized wheels, are going to usually handle that with no issue at all. To me, the 4 wheels, again, usually better on a kind of a smooth, flat surface. I've actually taken this bag on some really kind of crazy surfaces and it's done fine. But again, to really maximize the 4 wheels, a lot of times when I did that, I did have to kind of tilt it back, so it would just make it a little easier to roll. So again, through the airport, this is going to be fine. Once you get to hotel, fine. A lot of the smooth surfaces, it's going to be awesome, and these bags are really nice and efficient and can quickly get you where you want to go without having to kind of move it around every which direction. So I do like that. So again, longer trips, heavier items, when you have access to the overhead bin, if you're going to go somewhere where you do have to travel a longer distance to maybe get to your hotel or public transportation or whatever your situation might be, if you want to go somewhere where you have the additional space to buy souvenirs, definitely the roll bags are going to come in very, very handy. So again, I do love the roll bags, and I've really become, I guess, more appreciative of them throughout looking at a lot of different bags, especially the spinner. When I first started looking, I thought there's no way I'm going to buy a spinner, but I actually really like the spinner now. And the away carry-on is probably one of my favorite pieces of luggage that I own, just because of the versatility of the bag. And even when you pack this thing full and you close it, there's not a lot of bulge in this, even though the material is flexible. I actually do really like the away carry-on. So next, I just want to give some final thoughts and remarks. To start with, I know we've talked a lot about positives on both types of bags here, but I did want to mention just a few cons of both bags. So you think about a duffel or even a travel backpack, to me one of the biggest cons is just the fact that when you pack a lot of stuff in here, these bags can become very heavy. So the heavier the bag, the more fatigued you potentially could be when you carry this bag around. Also, I know a lot of times when I travel, especially for longer trips, I do like taking a smaller backpack as my personal item. So if you're just one bag traveling, a lot of times it's going to eliminate that personal item. Again, because having this on your shoulders or back is going to take that small backpack out of the equation. So now looking at the wheeled or rolling luggage, to me, a couple cons of this bag is just, since it is wheeled, if you are in an area with a lot of stairs or steps, again, could potentially be an issue having to carry this up or even down those stairs. Also, If you're having to take public transportation, a bus or a train, that's very crowded. For me, a lot of times if I do have a travel backpack or a backpack, it's easier to set it in my lap. Whereas if you do have a rolling bag, a lot of times the only option you have is to have it in the floor in front of you. So again, that could potentially be an issue. Also, thinking about if you are having to walk and you're out in the elements, to me this bag is going to be more exposed, because a lot of times if you have an umbrella, could cover your backpack, or even like a poncho that could cover your bag. And I've seen a lot of travel backpacks that even have like a rain fly. So again, travel backpacks or duffels, or even some of these duffels that have this nice thick material, are very weather resistant. So your typical road luggage, probably less so. So to me, these bags are a little bit more exposed to the elements and to the weather. But overall, I'll definitely see the benefit of both of these bags. It does depend on, for me, the type of trip I'm taking, the length, where I'm going. Again, a lot of those factors I mentioned to begin with. So one more thing about the duffel though, again, I love the duffel if you haven't noticed that. But when I do car travel, I would say 99% of the time I'm using a duffel bag, because to me it's so easy to throw your items in here, throw it in the car, pull it out, go to the hotel or wherever you're staying. Again, just throw this thing around, because they can handle so much abuse when you do travel. But I would absolutely love to hear from you. Which bag do you prefer? Are you in the market? If so, which bag are you looking at? Do you have multiple bags? And again, what factors come into play when you travel as far as which bag you decide to use? So I'd absolutely love to hear from you. As always, thank you so much for watching. Again, I would absolutely love to hear any comments or questions you might have. But please like, subscribe, and again, definitely leave those questions and I'll do my best to get back to you. So as always, thank you so much.